They say Rome didn't fall in a day. But what if the truth is even stranger, that Rome didn't fall the way we think at all? For centuries, we've been told simplified answers: invasions, corruption, bad emperors. But the real reason the Roman Empire collapsed is a story so complex, so deeply human, that most history books barely touch it. Today, we uncover the collapse not as a single event, but as a chain of mistakes, shocks, and choices that shaped the future of the entire world. For more than 1,000 years, Rome stood as the beating heart of the ancient world. Its roads stretched across continents, its armies dominated enemies, and its laws became the foundation of modern civilization. But behind the marble temples and golden eagles, Rome was a fragile machine running faster than anyone could control. The first cracks appeared centuries before the fall, small at first, almost invisible, but perfectly placed to shatter an empire. It began with the growth of the empire itself. Every new conquest brought land, wealth, and slaves, but also responsibility. Rome didn't just win battles. It absorbed cultures, borders, and tens of millions of people. Keeping such a massive system alive required armies, infrastructure, administration, and, above all, money. And money was exactly what Rome was running out of. As the empire expanded, something unexpected happened. The cost of defending the borders rose faster than the wealth that conquests brought in. Instead of strengthening Rome, expansion slowly weakened it. Imagine a balloon that grows so large it strains against itself. The empire stretched from the cold forests of Britain to the burning sands of Syria. But no empire in history could guard such borders forever. At the same time, something was happening inside Rome, something textbooks rarely explain clearly. The economy began collapsing from the inside. The Roman government spent far more than it earned. To fix this, emperors did what many governments still do today. They printed more money. But ancient Rome printed coins by reducing the precious metal inside them. When people realized a gold coin was no longer truly gold, trust collapsed. Prices skyrocketed. Soldiers demanded higher pay. Farmers struggled. Goods became more expensive. A loaf of bread that once cost 1 coin now required dozens. What we would call inflation today became a silent killer, and Rome was drowning in it. But even inflation wasn't the final blow. A deeper problem was eating away at the empire from the inside. Inequality at Rome's height. The gap between the rich and everyone else was wider than ever before in ancient history. Large landowners pushed small farmers out. Cities grew overcrowded. People depended on government grain shipments to survive. A society once built on citizenship, duty, and shared identity slowly transformed into one built on survival. By the 3rd century, Rome was a different world. Plagues swept through the empire, killing millions. Farms were abandoned. Trade routes collapsed. Panic spread. And in that chaos, new threats appeared at the borders. People history calls barbarians, though many were simply migrants, fleeing climate change, hunger, and conflict along Rome's frontiers. These groups weren't always enemies. In fact, many wanted to live inside the empire peacefully. Rome even recruited them into its army. But as the empire weakened, relationships broke down. One mistake in diplomacy, one broken promise, one corrupt official mistreating a migrating tribe, and suddenly violence erupted. The most famous moment was the year 410 CE. The Visigoths, led by Alaric, entered Rome and sacked the city. For the Roman world, this was unimaginable. The Eternal City had fallen. But even this dramatic event wasn't the end. The empire staggered on for decades more. It didn't collapse like a tower crashing down. It crumbled like ancient stone wearing away under centuries of wind and rain. So what was the real reason Rome fell? The true answer is not a battle, not a plague, not a single emperor, but a combination of factors working together like gears in a machine, breaking down piece by piece. Climate change altered harvests. Diseases weakened populations. Economic instability caused division. Political corruption destroyed trust. Migration pressure reshaped borders. And all of this happened slowly, relentlessly, over centuries. One historian once said, "Rome fell not when it was conquered, but when ordinary Romans stopped believing it was worth saving." And in many ways, that might be the closest thing to the truth. Because beneath the grand story of emperors and armies lies a more human story. The story of a society becoming exhausted, when daily life became harder, when opportunities disappeared. When the system seemed broken, people looked for other identities. And so something new took shape inside the dying empire. A shift from Roman identity to local identities. People in Gaul began seeing themselves as Gauls again. In Spain, as Hispanians. In Africa, as locals first and Romans second. Rome didn't die in an explosion. It gently faded away as people stopped holding it together. Yet the story doesn't end at the fall. What makes Rome's collapse truly fascinating is what came after. The structures Rome built, its laws, architecture, languages, didn't disappear. They transformed. Europe became a mosaic of smaller kingdoms, each carrying a piece of Rome in its culture. And the Eastern Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, continued for nearly another 1,000 years. So when someone asks, why did Rome fall? The real answer is more profound. Rome didn't really fall. Rome changed. It evolved from an empire into the foundations of the modern world. Its collapse was not destruction, but transformation. The Romans themselves would never have imagined that centuries later, people across the world would speak languages shaped by Latin, use laws inspired by Roman principles, and live in cities designed with Roman ideas of engineering. Even our calendars, months, and political vocabulary come from Rome. In the end, the fall of Rome is not a warning that civilizations die, but a reminder that civilizations evolve. And understanding why Rome transformed teaches us something important about our own world today. No system is eternal, but ideas can outlive empires. When we look at the ruins of ancient Rome, the broken columns, the silent amphitheaters, the roads still stretching toward the horizon, we're not looking at the remains of a dead civilization. We're looking at the bones of the world we live in now. And maybe that's the real secret history never tells you clearly. Rome didn't vanish. Rome became us.